Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another election prediction video. So, big news. Yesterday, Joe Biden has dropped out of the presidential race. I was very surprised to hear of that. And now, most likely, Kamala Harris will be the Democratic nominee. So, I'm going to be doing a series of videos covering her different VP options and what the map would turn out to be like with those VP options. So, obviously, we're going to start off with one of the stronger tickets, I believe, which would be her picking Governor Josh Shapiro of the state of Pennsylvania. In my opinion, Pennsylvania is most likely going to be the tipping point state in the 2024 election so far, and I think he's one of the best picks that Kamala Harris could make for the state of Pennsylvania. So, getting into this, I think we all have been underestimating Kamala Harris. I will say, I think I even have been underestimating Kamala Harris overall. I think that, listen, when you take a look at Joe Biden, he's pretty much dead in the water against Donald Trump. He only had a 25% chance at winning. One poll literally said that Biden, like for non-Biden supporters, 95% of them would never consider voting for him. So I think that this kind of shows that Kamala Harris is a way better option for Democrats going forward. And this really resets the entire presidential race, honestly. It's back to a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. Both sides have an equal chance at winning. Before it was 75-25, but now Kamala Harris stands a pretty decent shot. Now the age issue honestly shifts towards Donald Trump. He's 78 years old. Kamala Harris is 59. Democrats will have a pretty good advantage in that regard, and I think youth turnout will go a lot higher with Kamala Harris, and I think black turnout will go a lot higher with Kamala Harris. So she'll do better with both those key voter groups for the Democrats, which they need to win, and I think she would do way better with Muslim voters too, because she won't get the blame Biden did for the situation in Gaza over his handling over that situation. So let's just get right into this map as I've pretty much set up all the safe states. So starting off with Iowa and Ohio, these are just going to be safe red states. Again, these states have been trending away from the Democratic Party, nor do I think Harris will really waste that much time in Iowa or Ohio. Maybe she'll do a rally or two in Ohio to help out Sherrod Brown, to help generate turnout there, but for now these states are pretty solidly red. Texas and Florida, these states are kind of out of reach for Democrats as well. I'd put them both as likely Republican against Kamala Harris. I think she would do a lot better in Florida than Biden did. Well, Biden did in my previous predictions because previously I had Biden losing Florida by over 10. With Harris, I think she would be able to keep Florida within an 8 to 9 point range. So Trump only wins here by 8 or 9. Texas, Trump only wins here by 6, in my opinion. I do think she would really help with black turnout. Maybe make the Texas Senate race a bit more competitive even. Maybe it could even shift to lean Republican for the Senate race, which would be pretty good for the Democrats' chances for the Senate, because then they wouldn't have to rely on winning Montana anymore if they could make Texas more competitive. But I'd still think Ted Cruz would end up winning in Texas, just based on this presidential margin. So Colorado, this is going to be safe blue. New Mexico and Virginia, I think she would do a lot better with black voters here. And even Latinos, I think she would do a bit better than Biden would. So I think she would be able to win by likely margins in both these two states here. They're traditionally Democratic. And honestly, I think we're seeing a lot of unity with the Democratic base now. A lot of them are really excited, energized. One number I saw, I'm recording this the day of Biden dropping out, so this may be inaccurate by the time you're watching the video tomorrow. But so far, Kamala Harris has raised $27 million in the first day. That total is probably going to keep on going up and up as we get more estimates. But so far, I would say the Democratic base is unified around her. We're seeing a lot of enthusiasm now, which the Democrats desperately needed to actually have a chance against Trump. So we're seeing that energy factor go into it. So moving on to Alaska, it's a safe red state. I don't think Harris has a lot of rural appeal, so I don't think Alaska is going to be in range for her to win. Heading up to New Hampshire and Maine, I'd put Maine second, about safe Republican. Maine and New Hampshire, I would probably put them as lean blue. She could even shift these to likely blue states, but I'm being cautious in putting them as lean blue ones. But again, Biden internal polls, they said Harris would do a lot better than Biden would, and I believe them. Biden's internal polls were really accurate in 2020. They said Biden would only narrowly win, and they got that margin pretty much spot on. They said the race is a lot closer than what mainstream news organizations had it. So I trust those internal polls quite a bit. Going into Nebraska second, I also think she would carry this district against Trump. Again, a lot of suburban trends go against Trump in this district. She could even win it by a likely blue margin, honestly. But for now, I'm putting this as lean blue. Going over to North Carolina, since she's this in this scenario, she picks Josh Shapiro instead of Roy Cooper. This state of North Carolina would remain as lean Republican. Georgia, also with higher black turnout, it would go from lean Republican to tilt Republican. I really think Kamala Harris can energize those black voters, and that's really what it takes to win in Georgia. Very high black turnout. But I still think she would underperform a bit with those independents there, which is why it's only a tilt Republican state. Moving on to Nevada and Arizona. Again, with Nevada, a lot of trends are going against the Democrats here. Usually, most elections, Nevada starts to trend a bit more and more Republican. And I think with a no taxes on tip policy, that would make Nevada probably a tilt red state, even against Kamala Harris. But she also has a decent shot at winning here. She would definitely do better than Joe Biden here, definitely energize the base a lot more, but I think she just comes up a bit short here. Into the state of Arizona, I actually think she does decent in this state, just because I don't think I really have doubts of Maricopa County actually voting for Donald Trump. And I think with a much younger candidate, she could appeal better to those independent voters. And I think she would energize the base here a bit more and do better with Latino voters than Biden did. Again, Biden really struggled with Latino voters back in 2020. So I think maybe she could win a lot of them back just because she's a much younger candidate. She would turn out the base more. But I just think the big reason that Trump wouldn't take Arizona is due to Maricopa County. I just think that county's probably still going to be Dem leaning. So I would have this as a tilt blue state. And now we're down to the last four states, and those are the Rust Belt states. So the state of Minnesota, again, she would do a lot better with Muslim voters. She doesn't have the issue Biden has among them, where they disapprove of Biden's handling of the situation in Gaza. So as long as she's careful on the Israel-Gaza situation, as long as she doesn't favor Israel too much, I think she could win over those Muslim voters. And that would definitely help her chances in states like Minnesota and Michigan, which have a high Muslim population in the urban centers. So I would put Minnesota as about a lean blue state. I know some people might say she doesn't have the best populist appeal, but I think she would do great in the urban and suburban areas in these states. She would definitely boost up minority turnout, and that's what you really need here. In 2016, Hillary lost mainly because she didn't turn out black voters enough. So I really think Harris would be able to turn them out a lot better than Hillary would. And again, with those approval polls, we're already seeing Harris do a bit better in approval than Biden ever since the debate. So again, being a VP, it's a relatively muted role. It's really hard to improve your approval rating. You usually get stuck with what the approval rating of the administration has. So I think once we see Kamala Harris get on that campaign trail, we'll see her approval rating go up probably into the mid-40s, I would say. It could even get positive if she campaigns enough. But I think she has a pretty good advantage because she isn't the president right now. Biden's going to be handling all the presidential duties, while Harris focuses purely on the campaign. So I think that's a great advantage for her to have. So in the state of Michigan, I do think her picking Josh Shapiro would really help her out in these Midwestern Rust Belt states. So I think with Michigan, and I think she would do a lot better with Muslim voters and African American voters and minorities in general, I'd put Michigan as a lean blue state. So now we're down to two more states, and I think Pennsylvania will be the most pivotal state. I think it's the tipping point state, and I think just purely because Harris picks Shapiro as the VP in this scenario, I think that's enough to give her the state of Pennsylvania by about a 1% margin here. I think she would be able to pull off a narrow win here, could even get to tilt blue if it's close enough. But I think honestly she would be able to win PA by a lean blue margin if she picks Josh Shapiro, the very well liked governor of Pennsylvania, as her VP candidate. Again, usually when you pick a VP candidate, you usually get a boost in that home state by about 2 percentage points. And right now, a lot of polls have Harris only behind Trump by about 2%. So it might even be a tilt blue state now that I'm thinking about that logic. So I would probably recategorize it by about tilt blue because I've been thinking that over. But most polls only have her behind MPA by about 2, especially the New York Times, which is a high quality poster, unlike the Insider Advantage polls, which undersample black voters by a great amount. One of their Georgia polls only had 17 black voters in their poll, so that's a very high margin of error. And let's just check how well Insider Advantage did in 2022. They had Kari Lake winning by 11 in Arizona. So I'm more inclined to believe the New York Times poll estimate. So Harris would be behind a PA by about 2 if she picks Shapiro. That's enough to shift the state of Pennsylvania to a tilt blue advantage. It could even go to lean blue. So I think she would probably end up winning PA by about 0.8, 0.9%. It would be kind of close to about 1%, I would say. But I would put it as a tilt blue state if she picks Josh Shapiro as the VP. And now the state of Wisconsin. I think this is another tilt blue state. Again, Biden's internal polls actually had Harris, I think, narrowly up in the state of Wisconsin. And with her picking Josh Shapiro as a VP candidate in this scenario, I think that would be enough to tilt that state in her favor. So it's a narrow win. There's 40 electoral votes in the tilt blue column, so Trump could very well win here. I really think this is a 50-50 race now between Trump and Harris because Trump's finally facing someone who's not as unpopular as Joe Biden is. So that's a huge difference, and that age factor will be shifted back to Donald Trump. So anyone saying that it'll be a landslide loss for Harris, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just assuming things just purely based off of old polling of Harris being more unpopular than Biden, which is just politics changes like every single month. We're probably going to see Harris's favorability rating improve a good amount. Being a VP is a relatively muted role. I think she would do a lot better than people have been saying. I think we've all been underestimating her. And I really think that if she picks Josh Shapiro as the VP choice, she could win this election. So that's my elect prediction of Kamala Harris picks Josh Shapiro as her VP. I'll do other scenarios with other VP candidates over the course of the coming weeks. So thanks everyone for watching. If you're new to this channel and you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe. And let me know in the comments down below whether you agree or disagree with this prediction. I'm always interested in hearing your feedback. So even if you disagree, let me know why. I'll be sure to comment back to you. But thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.